Hello, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Bowser Press Co-op Podcast. Today, myself, Matt, and Isaac will be talking about our favorite games of the year 2013. This list is by no means exhaustive. The two of us definitely missed games that came out this year that we even intended to get to, but just didn't for one reason or another. So we think of it as favorites, and not the best games of the year. If you'd like to find more episodes of the show, you can do so by following us on Tumblr at bowserpress.tumblr.com. You can find us on Twitter at bowserpressed, BOWSERPRESSED, and you can email bowserpress at bowserpressed@gmail.com, and you can find us on YouTube and Facebook. Episodes of the show are archived on YouTube. You can find all the previous ones there. I'll have to admit to you that I made a mistake while recording and forgot to hit record on my end at the beginning of the podcast, so what you're missing is my discussion of The Last of Us, which I already went into in previous shows, so I felt a certain trepidation in retreading that territory as it is, but basically the gist of what I said was I was defending the game to the detractors who said that it only earned accolades for its grittiness. And though I would say I have to admit that it does appropriate from other media, including the same sort of post-apocalyptic themes and settings that we've seen in the past. What it does, however, is it appropriates them very well, and it features characters that are very well voice-acted, very well written, and very well fleshed out. And the story is not the only thing great about the game. The gameplay is great about the game. And if you didn't think that the gameplay was great, then go back and try it again, because it's better than you think. At any rate, we'll just pick up from there and jump right into Isaac's top picks, and we'll go from there, right down the list. Okay, thanks for listening.
Fire Emblem Awakening is the first on my list. As far as that style of game goes, it's one of the best. Like, has just all these cool things you can do in it. Like, you basically have people teamed up with each other, and they have relationships that sort of build and strengthen the more they do stuff together. You can even, like, marry characters off to each other. So there's kind of this mini social aspect going on while this war plotline is going on. I guess it's the equivalent of saying it's like a Whopper. You may not necessarily like a Whopper, but this is like the best kind. This is the best a Whopper has been done. Yeah, I'm stretching the analogy. Whatever. That's like it's a pretty fun, interesting story. It just good. Like one of the reasons to own a 3DS or 2DS now, in my view.
Yeah, I don't have one yet. I really want one. There's been so many games I've wanted to play. I don't know why I'm waiting. I think initially I held out simply because I assumed that they would make one that had a second analog stick built right in, and it's looking more and more like that's not going to happen, so I should probably take the plunge.
Yeah, Nintendo. God. I love you, Nintendo, but dear God.
Yeah.
Sometimes just get with the times.
Yeah, they're very strange.
Anyways, on to your next one.
Yeah, speaking of Nintendo, Super Mario 3D World. Yeah, again, we've talked. I've spoken about this multiple times on previous shows. And since I've talked about it, I have pretty much 100%ed it. I'm still stuck on that last level. I haven't gone back to it. But yeah, I mean, it ended up feeling not as innovative and groundbreaking as I'd hoped it would feel initially, and I still feel the same way about it. I've come around to it, though. I think it's really well made. I think it's good. It's really good, and it's certainly one of the games I've played the most this year. It's very rare for me to try and 100% a game, but I did try and do that with this game, even though I'm very, very close to doing it. I haven't quite done it. But I mean, I didn't even do that with the Galaxy games. Galaxy 2, which is a better game than Galaxy 1, I played more of it than the first one, because Galaxy 1 I really liked, but never I just sort of completed it. And with the second one, I did try and earn some of the extra stars, but never 100%ed it. But it goes back to Mario 64 was the last one that I 100%ed, and that that was the last Mario game that really just I really loved, and again, it might have more to do with the fact that I was like a young teenager and like I just spent more time playing games back then. But this game sort of did that to me again. It sort of had that feeling of Mario 64 where I really wanted to go back and find all the little secrets and um, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't really feel like a whole new ball game the way Mario 64 did, or even Galaxy did. But it's a refinement of that genre of that series, and yeah, I mean it's a really fun, really tight platformer, and yeah, I mean I've kind of said everything I needed to last time,
Yeah.
so
I,
but yeah,
I I'm kind of the divorced wife of Mario. I'm kind of
yeah.
like, I remember the good times. I just, I can't hang out with you anymore, Mario. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say that's too bad because it's not like it's Sonic the Hedgehog or something. I mean, the games are still quite good. They're just, I guess there's only so much you can stretch a series, and it's
Yeah,
eventually gonna run its course, you know.
yeah. Nintendo has just they keep remaking Mario 64. It is
Yeah.
my feeling, and I love Mario 64. I have like the DS one, but I don't know what it is about the Mario in particular because I'm sure there's other games I love that sort of are derivative, like Resident Evil, for example. I'm a big fan of that series, despite the horribleness of six.
Yeah. Did you play 6?
Yeah, I
Okay.
I got the PC version when it was like $30
hmm
because it's like, all right, I'll check this out, and just base explosions
Yeah.
everywhere.
I guess I'm the divorced wife of Resident Evil because yeah, I grudgingly finished 5. I sort of hated every bit of it, and 6 I completely skipped. One of these days I might check it out. I'm still interested to play Revelations because I understand that's kind of a throwback, but
Revelations is actually good, so
yeah, I need
it's
to get to that one.
it's the closest to it. I just think Capcom's dropped the ball in so many things.
Oh yeah, they are not the company they once were. Same with Konami.
Yep,
It's very sad.
sad but true.
hmm
Moving on, and this is the game I can say I've played way more than any other game this year.
hmm
Payday 2.
Yeah. So any new thoughts since the last time we talked about it, or any different angle you'd maybe something you didn't talk about last time?
Oh, just that they keep adding little new heists here and there, which is
hmm
always nice. I don't know.
So is it like other multiplayer shooters where they sort of have like weekly challenges and that sort of thing, or how does the new content work?
No, they just occasionally have DLC, like they added in grenades and other things.
It's
Uh,
paid. It's paid stuff, or is it just sort of updates?
if you pre-ordered, most of it has been free. I think
Okay.
there was like one of them you had to do it, but the game's at 30 to start with, and then
hmm
you know they've had
So
it
are
on
they?
Steam sales for like $12,
Oh
which
wow,
if you
I
can,
missed that.
yeah, if you can, I'd almost recommend getting it.
hmm So is it kind of a freemium model? Would you say that they're going for,
Um, no,
even though
it's
you pay for it?
no, I wouldn't necessarily say it's freemium because you do have a full game and you can access pretty much all the heists. I mean,
hmm
even with their grenades, people who have the DLC that has access to the grenades can buy the asset, and then the person who doesn't have it can actually equip them.
Oh okay, that's nice.
So they're not like having the community split by DLC.
That's
So
good.
so that's actually one thing I'll give Overkill. Just it's fun. It's nice to have a co-op shooter that isn't the goal isn't necessarily just to shoot everyone, though that is a
hmm
big part of it.
hmm
It's you get rated on getting away with the loot, not with your kill count. So
Right. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of. I mean, this is because the Uncharted multiplayer isn't exactly the most popular thing, but in Uncharted 2 they had the mode where you carry the idol from one base to the other, and in that mode the only way you could score was getting the idol into the other base, and kills counted for nothing, which I enjoyed because I'm pretty sure in other games, like say the Call of Duty games where there's capture the flag, I think there's sort of scoring happening everywhere, including with the kills.
Oh yeah. There's still cheaters, but at least it's not as bad as when someone's cheating in Call of Duty. By the way, Ghost is horrible with cheaters.
Is it?
Yeah, because I decided to get it because it was on the Steam sale. I was just like, okay, I'll try the multiplayer again, see if anything's really changed.
Mm-hmm.
Not that much. And basically every other game I was in, there was just a person who had an aimbot. It was instant killing everyone.
You reckon that series is gonna die by next year, or is it?
I think legs? So, because it's ironic. It's called Ghost because the entire thing basically stinks of death.
Yeah, I can't say I looked up the sales figures this time around. I don't know if it outdid the last one.
I don't think it did.
Okay. I want to say that Black Ops 2 is still kind of like one of the better selling ones. Is that right?
Well, yeah, they finally oversaturated. They finally overextended their brand, as it were, in marketing terms.
Yeah. Yep. It was bound to happen, just it has taken a while.
Well, yeah, because I don't care how popular something is, after about 8 or 9 years of it, people will get sick of it.
Yeah.
And they could have done it every other year for a bit and kept it going a little bit longer.
They'll reboot it in like 5 years.
Probably. Though I don't think it will ever be as big as it was.
No. And that's what they'll realize. It's like the Tomb Raider reboot, the way that thing sold like gangbusters and it didn't sell Call of Duty numbers, and so it was a disaster or whatever.
Yeah, thanks Squaresoft, because you so know what you're doing, which is why you're doing a third Final Fantasy 13, which nobody asked for.
They have to do it. They created all those expensive assets.
That's my theorem, or the other one was just that the director is in love with lightning, and that's why he did it.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah, I have to find that because it's insane. It's like the ravings of a madman.
Yeah, sounds about right from that company.
All right, let's go on to your number 3.
Yeah, BIT.TRIP presents BIT.TRIP presents Future Legend of Rhythm Alien 2. BIT.TRIP Runner. I can't remember the full title anymore.
BIT.TRIP Runner 2.
Yeah. This was another game I played a lot of this year. Again, as I said, I don't tend to play games beyond just completion. With this one, I did go back and try and earn a lot of the, beating the levels on all the difficulties and doing all that stuff. And they did a really good job of building upon the original game, where they opened up. You can there's multiple paths in the levels, whereas the original didn't have that. There's secrets to find, which sounds a little weird because it's an auto runner. But with these multiple paths, you end up finding a lot of sort of nooks and crannies, and there's like these hidden cartridges that unlock old school, like 16-bit style levels, which are really neat. I wouldn't have expected the secrets to really work in a game like that, but they end up being challenging to find and fun to look for. And the added difficulty levels, I think, was smart, because the original game I really loved. But it gets to be a little too hard, especially at the end. But I liked that about it. I liked that it was committed to being like this hardcore sort of gamer's game. And some people might scoff at sort of opening up the player base with the new one and making it easier. But I think that they did it well, where you can play it on the hardest difficulty, and it basically is about as hard as the original, although not quite. There's like optional checkpoints, which was another problem people had with the original, because I certainly, the last level in BIT.TRIP 1, I must have played 150 times to try and finish, and it gets a little grating after a while, so having those optional checkpoints is nice if you need them. And I think as for the aesthetic of it, where they made it sort of goofier than the first game, I don't have a problem with that per se. I like the idea of it being its own thing and being something different. So if you want the aesthetic of the first game, you could just play the first game. So I think people having an issue with that, it's founded, but I personally didn't find it to be a problem. I liked all the weird costumes you could unlock and stuff like that. So it's a more fleshed out, it's a more like expansive package than the first game. I don't necessarily think it's a better game for it. I think I still like the original better, but it was, a game I was very much looking forward to this year, and I really enjoyed it, played a lot of it, and yeah, it was really good. So if not as good as the original, it's kind of like Anchorman 2. I saw that recently, and it's not as good as the original, but it's still really funny. So, sometimes you don't need to outdo the original. Sometimes it just needs to be good on its own terms. So, yeah, that was one of my favorite games this year.
Okay, next on my list is Metal Gear Rising. Revengeance.
Yeah, they made up their own word for it.
Yeah.
So I've heard very mixed things about this. So sell me on it. Why is it good?
Why is it good? Well, I know this will sound ironic, given like people usually complain around, but it's a nice, short, like compact game. Like it doesn't try to stretch things out.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. There's a nice little skill component. It's done by the Devil May Cry guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just fun. Like the issue I think with it is that the game doesn't necessarily do too good of a job about explaining itself to you, because a big aspect of it is the parry. Like, the entire game is really built around being offensive a lot of the time, if not all of it, including when people are attacking against you. So the idea, at least if you're playing on if you're playing really, really well, would be that someone goes to attack you, unless it's a non-blockable attack, mind you, in which case you have to avoid it. But if someone's going against you, you would parry and pull off a perfect parry and then be able to, like, slice their limbs off.
Sounds kind of Bayonetta-ish.
Yeah, Bayonetta had the concept of, like, witch time, which is whenever you pulled off a dodge, time froze, and then this more so has that you beat people up, you work up your meter, and then you kind of go into bullet time, and you can cut things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's, like, from what I understand, like, some really crazy, just reckless abandon with cutting people into millions of pieces.
Yeah, and after you get through the game the first time, then you get more difficulties, and you also get to use, like, the sub-weapons from all the bosses that you've beaten, like, from the start. And they do make a big difference. The only other thing I think people would complain about is that the last boss is kind of like WTF.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like hitting a brick wall.
Oh yeah, it's like way too hard.
Oh yeah, initially, because there's a lot of little things he does, and he can basically kill you in like 3 hits.
I was gonna say, in terms of having the enemies' sub-weapons equipable, does that also open up sort of Mega Man style things within the earlier levels that you couldn't have done without them?
Oh, there isn't like Metroid-like stuff where there's like sections you can get to, but more so that there's like guys who have shields, and if you have like the the slow but heavy damaging weapon, you can actually just like break them.
Okay, that's cool. So it kind of does that fun thing that some games do, where you unlock overpowered weapons and get to just have fun in earlier levels being overpowered.
Or there's a pair of sais, and one of the things that they have is that you can throw them into like enemies and then like pull yourself to them, and that makes it so you can actually get into melee range of helicopters. By the way, one of the more amusing things that happens in the game is you fight helicopters, and they will try to like ram you while you're on the ground.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but it's just a nice short. It's a nice compact game that which really, gives you rating. It really kind of rewards you for trying to do well. And there's also a bunch of like VR missions, which are other challenges. So there's a good amount of content, even though the main game isn't necessarily that long.
Mm-hmm. This sounds like something I should probably rent from Redbox or something at some point.
Yeah, though I think it's old enough. I think you made me want to get off Amazon. I think you can get off Amazon for like $15 now.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
I've ended up like ordering the PC version just because I want to have it on my computer and have it ultra resolution graphics. So
Right. Very good. Yeah. Well, I will say you've kind of sold me on it because I'd heard enough mixed things that I wasn't dying to check it out. But
yeah, the only other thing you should know is like the camera, because like many action games that are Fast and Furious, camera makes a big difference, and sometimes it's not the nicest.
Yeah.
So you have to learn about varying things. I didn't even realize there was a lock-on system, so I was at the end boss. I was like, oh, that might
that's a
help.
problem. Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, hearing you say that you ran into that does not give me confidence because I tend to miss important mechanics in games sometimes and make things harder on myself than I need to. So
well, this is what I was going into. That the game it does, it just kind of drops you into it without really explaining itself, and it's not the Mega Man X style where the level's designed to teach you about it, because these are some very precise and exact things that they want you to do. The only other thing would be that like when you unlock your extra move upgrades, I don't know how to see what the hell I'm supposed to do to use them. So
yeah, sometimes a little hand holding goes a long way, but it seems like developers are sometimes scared to do that sort of stuff. It's a difficult balance to pull it off without annoying people.
Well, everyone hates the tutorial level, so the question is, how do you get so people get your game right away and then are able to have fun with it?
Yeah. It could just be a symptom of the deadline sort of approach to many AAA releases, where maybe they could have integrated something with a little more finesse, but just didn't have the time.
Yeah, from what I understand with the game is that Platinum wasn't even the original developers. It was like a Konami team, and they eventually said, this isn't working, and they kind of had Platinum build all the action elements.
Yeah, that is what happened, is my understanding too, and that could inform some less, elegant design choices.
Yeah. But the cut mechanic's fun. Another thing is, I felt that they could have made the controls a little bit better, because for some reason I guess they want to recreate the sensation of cutting something, so you have to like use the analog stick to like have your cut go through, or you have to like put your hand in a really weird position and then press the like Y button while like moving analog stick. Like I kind of wish I could just do a visual, but I can't.
Yeah. Audio podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just a lot of replayability, and you have a robot talking dog.
Well, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, you actually get to play as it during one of the DLCs, so.
Oh yeah, I remember reading about that. Very good. Okay, shall we move on to my next one?
Yep.
Okay, Ridiculous Fishing. Again, I don't know what to say about it that hasn't been said. It's
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and it is ridiculously fun. I love pretty much everything about it. I think the touch and gyro controls are really well done. The upgrade system is really good and really smart. It's I think I've mentioned before, it does a thing where when you unlock new skills and weapons and things, it doesn't necessarily negate the earlier ones. They're all sort of viable options. Go on.
Well, it seems like it's those kind of games. I forget what some of them are called, but you get. There's one where like you're playing as a knight and you're getting launched up, and then you're like jumping on top of enemies to like keep your momentum going.
Yeah, all those sort of launch games, yeah, are like that.
Yeah, it seems like that's what it seems like. Ridiculous Fishing is like, but like a really well done version.
Yeah, exactly. It takes that sort of upgrade tree from those silly browser games and things, and it does it really, really well. Yeah, as I said, makes all of the weapons and things you unlock really just interesting wrinkles in the way the game plays, rather than just making you overpowered and making the game easy to get through. The level design, in terms of the way they place the fish and the jellyfish and things, gets more and more complex and interesting as you play through it. The graphics are really, really cool looking. The way everything's sort of 45-degree angular shapes and interesting, bold, bright colors. There's really cool music that's, it sounds like Vlambeer music. It's strange and quirky, and really fits the vibe of the game. And it's just a hell of a lot of fun to play, and really, really well made. And it's great because it's $3 one time, and you don't have to pay real money to unlock stuff. In which they did consider making the game a freemium style game, and ended up changing their mind, and I think that was a smart decision. And it seems to have paid off for them, because it's really had a great word of mouth throughout the year, and it's sold really well. They have it on Android now. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite games this year. It's just the kind of game I like, where you can play it in short chunks, or you can get addicted to it and play it for a long time. And it's sort of arcade, short loop style gameplay that's really well designed and fun to play, and also has some legs to it. So
That's cool.
yeah, loved it.
Nice. All right. Speaking of weapons that are cool, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Another one that I skipped because I am a prude. Or, well, prude isn't the right word. I just, I don't know what it is. I thought it would be a little too tongue-in-cheek, but I should probably give it a fair shake.
Oh, it's just like all the crazy shit. I mean, all the weapons are like basically guns from 80s movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very sort of loving homage to 80s, early 90s action cinema, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, another thing with it, it's basically like the micro version of Far Cry 3, and that it's a lot of the core gameplay aspects of what you do, just with the super loving 80s coat and the 80s synthesizer music.
Right. Now, I didn't play Far Cry 3. Also, one of the reasons I wasn't particularly interested in it is because I tend not to play a lot of games that are very long, because I just don't have the time to go through as many games as I'd like to. So long games tend to get put on the back burner. So
Yeah.
probably the fact that it's more of a succinct experience, like you're saying, is probably appealing to me.
Yeah, I would suggest going through it, and just that, I don't know. Not everyone likes the humor for it, but I do.
Hmm.
It's just like, they have like just the the main screen's like an old like Commodore or Apple II style computer text font.
Hmm.
Like, there's like no menu. It's just the green text.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yo, totally.
Yeah. The soundtrack for it is amazing in my opinion.
Yeah. I have heard a bit of the soundtrack, and I do enjoy what I've heard. So, I I guess probably if you don't connect with the humor, then it sounds like the gameplay will keep you hooked anyway.
Yeah, as I said, I don't know how much I like the humor, but I do, especially when they have the '80s montage.
Yeah, that does sound appealing. I'd be interested to play it just to see that scene.
Yeah. Oh, it's Michael Bean.
Mm-hmm.
Cyber Commandos. I don't know, just everything from the trailer when it's just like, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to be kind of too much of a curmudgeon for my own good, and the fact that that game had a lot of buzz and word of mouth around it when it came out sort of made me not want to play it because I'm just like a jerk like that. So I tend to be softened on my opinions on things as time goes by. So I'll probably be more interested to actually give it a shot. Like once it's been out for a year, say,
Yeah,
and all the
well,
buzz has died
it's
down.
also cheaper then, so.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also a cheapskate, so it really plays into my style of getting around to things very well.
It's just, let's say, sorry, just going a little bit of tangent with it. So there's one point where she's suggesting like having him take some sort of stimulant. It's like, no. It's like, she goes, why not? Because winners don't use drugs.
Right. uh,
I know it's kind of silly, but it's just.
no, it actually is topical because I mean, as time goes by, we learn more and more. Like star athletes have definitely juiced in the past, and it's just become sort of a truism that winners actually do use drugs. You
Yeah.
know?
Yes, that's true. That's enough on Blood Dragon.
Okay. So the last on my list is Ripple.Zero, a game that I'm sure most people don't even know of or certainly didn't play. Um, but if you haven't played it, I would say there's not much of an excuse not to because it is a free browser game. So if you have a computer with a connection to the internet, or even if you don't, you could just go to the library and sign up for your local library's internet usage and just probably knock this game out in about an hour or so. Because it's designed to be a sort of an homage to early 90s platformer games. It's very much like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 meets Strider. So I guess I would say it's kind of a Genesis kind of game. And it also has kind of like FM synth style music. And it's really surprisingly impressive for a browser game. Like, after I beat it, I looked in the comments on the website, and a lot of people were saying, like, why isn't this on Steam? I would pay actual money for this if this was on Steam. And I'd be curious to see if the developers end up porting it there or try greenlighting it or something. Maybe they've even tried. I don't know. I haven't really followed it. But it came out this summer, and it has controller support, so if you're a stickler for playing platformers not on a keyboard, which certainly I am, I can't play them that way. It's very easy to just hook in a USB controller and play it that way. And I mean, it's really quite good. I would say don't let the fact that it's a browser game throw you. I mean, it has the production values of like an honest to god commercial release. It has really detailed multi-plane parallax scrolling backgrounds. The pixel art is really very lovingly done, and the music's really cool. The level design is very Sonic the Hedgehog. There's a lot of different paths through the level, and There's a lot of secrets to uncover, a lot of nooks and crannies in the levels. You can even, if you look around hard enough, you can find a sort of mobile attack suit for your main character. Well, the main character is a penguin, I should mention, so he gets this weird mech suit, and it has a jetpack on it, so you can float around a little, and it opens up a little more gameplay that way. There's, in the Sonic the Hedgehog style, there's a couple of zones per world, and each world has its own theme, and they all are interesting and pretty to look at, and it's a surprisingly complete package for a browser game, and it's really fun to run through. Like I said, you can knock it out in about an hour, and there's enough sort of extra content in there, like secret levels and hidden areas in each level, and bonus rounds and stuff like that, that you can even come back to it and play it some more. So I would say, check it out, because why not? It's free. And it was probably one of my favorite games I played this year, despite not being a commercial release.
Yeah. Going back to the games I spent a long time and kind of did everything in, and didn't do as much as Payday 2, mind you, but last thing on my list is Saints Row the 4th, or Saints Row 4.
Yeah. So I noticed you don't have GTA 5 on your list, which I know you said is a game you liked very much. So would you say it's better than GTA 5 then?
I enjoyed it more than GTA 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to say because the map is just it's like the exact same map from Saints Row 3.
Mm-hmm.
The difference with it is that you having like superpowers and like super jump, it does make it feel completely different.
Yeah.
Because you're not driving along the streets anymore. You're jumping over buildings and...
Let me ask you this. Does it do Infamous better than Infamous did Infamous?
I think some aspects of it, yeah. I do think the actual control for using like your superpowers is a little wonky. That's also because it has like guns in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess that was one of my things with at least Infamous. I guess I could understand if you're playing good Cole, but if you're playing evil Cole, why wouldn't you have a M16 machine gun while you're like zapping people with lightning?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I thought that I only played the first Infamous. I couldn't be bothered with the second one after playing the first one. I found that I didn't feel super enough in that game, like getting on top of buildings and killing enemies and stuff felt like too much work for a dude who supposedly has all these great superpowers. And it looked to me like, because I've seen a video of Saints Row 4 where you're just running up the side of a building, and that looks really fun, the way Infamous was not fun to get up the side of a building.
Yeah, they definitely, like, because I did actually, what was the other game? Prototype, that was the other one. I actually kind of enjoyed Prototype a little bit more than Infamous, just because the travel mechanics are so much more fun, though I would almost say Infamous was the better designed game, if that makes any sense.
No, I hear you, yeah. If only they could have merged the production quality and whatnot of Infamous with the more fun mechanics of Prototype, they might have had a better game.
Yeah, because the issue with Prototype was that you didn't need, like, they had so many things you could do, but you didn't need, like, the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
I guess that's maybe why Saints Row 4 works so well, because they don't give you too many, like, bullshit superpowers. It's like, and they give you the jump and run, like, right at the start once you get done past the opening part of the game.
Yeah, that's what you need. It's like, do not make me wait 5 hours or more to get to the good stuff in terms of the abilities and controls.
The ability to movement abilities are important. Like
right.
Attacks aren't necessarily as much because we accept that that's part of character progression.
Sure.
But like, wait, I could have flown. You could have had me doing this sooner.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. You need to give me that stuff right away. make the game fun to play right away.
Oh, and the Crackdown Stellar Orbs. I know that Infamous also has that, but I don't know. I just feel that the writing's actually better because it's kind of taking the piss out of a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
including like Mass Effect in particular on the ship, because you can just walk up to people and go, "Hey, wanna fuck?" and
Yeah.
they just go, "Okay," and then that's it. And it's like, yeah, that kind of was Mass Effect's relationships in a nutshell.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Like,
That
why
sounds
am
like
I
fun.
talking? Why are we talking this much, Shepard? You see, like, oh, you want to have sex with me? Okay. I'll just flat out say okay to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I, video games are supposed to, on some level, be a fantasy wish fulfillment. So, making it that easy to just go up to a member of the sex that you are interested in having sex with makes it sort of. I mean, that's just the way it should be. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
you can romance everyone, including the robot. Oh, wait, you can't romance Keith David.
oh. Well, yeah. I mean, he's on a different level.
Well, no, it's hilarious when you do. He goes like, "Listen, I'm a successful actor. You're the leader of the Saints. It just wouldn't work out."
Put on the sunglasses.
Yeah. Yeah, just I don't know. The entire plot's like wonky as a whole. It actually has like references to like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know if I agree with all the little, what is it, the politics that the devs try to force through,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the sense of fun that the Saints Row series lets you do. I guess the only other complaint I would have is I felt the soundtrack could have been stronger,
Mm.
because they do like have some really good songs in it. Like they have The Touch, which they use at a really awesome moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 80s.
Yep.
We love you. And they have you get like mecha robot suits and other things. I guess that's would be another complaint, is that any vehicle related stuff is pointless, because it's just better to just run around with your superpowered jump and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. There's not any like crazy vehicles that are, that give you the ability to like fly into the air or something like that.
Oh, there's some that give you the ability to fly. It's just it's way more fun to run around super powered
Yeah.
than it is, especially like you charge up your jumps. Like when you finally work it up, because they have you do the crackdown thing of collecting orbs. When you finally get all the upgrades on your thing, you basically have unlimited sprint and really high jump, so you can just like jump around like crazy, run up the sides of buildings, jump off, and then like uh, nuke bomb like from above. Like you can just dive down, hit like if you dive bomb an area from high enough, it like creates the like giant shock wave like the
Mm-hmm.
Matrix.
Right. Yeah. I've not played any of the Saints Row games, but I'm thinking maybe skip the first one, start with the second one if I finally get into that series.
Two is the one a lot of people really love. I'd
Yeah.
almost suggest, if you want to just flat out start having a blast from the get go, get 4,
Mm-hmm.
because basically Saints Row is kind of the wacky path that GTA could have gone. I guess is
Right.
maybe why I enjoy it more, because it reminds me more of the absurdity that I felt from playing like GTA 3 or Vice City. Whereas the later GTA games, despite having those really, out there cutthroat satirical elements, kind of, like we're trying to be serious with some of our stuff, and I don't necessarily know how well it always works.
Right. Yeah, that's what I often hear about the dichotomy between those two games is GTA ended up becoming the more serious one, and uh, Saints Row is where you go to have your silliness.
Yeah. I'm glad both exist, though. I,
Sure.
I don't get. I don't think it's very fair to go after GTA, for, at least with claiming that it's not satire. To me, that's the most insane argument you could do. I can get you saying it's not satire you like, but to say it's not satirical is insane.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty over the top. It's pretty blunt about the statements it's trying to make.
Yeah. Well, I forget what it comes down to because some people said because it doesn't automatically demonize those that's going on. It's like, well, they're not going to demonize themselves. The point is that they are horrible human beings and they're acting in deplorable manners. If you even remotely think that the game, the people behind the game actually support what they're doing, I mean, if anything,
Yeah.
it's a screw you, stupid Americans. This is how fucked up your culture is and bankrupt everything is.
Right. It's funny that series has been doing that sort of satire embedded into their games for a while, but I feel like it's not something that got picked up until about the fourth game. But prior to that, those games were culturally important simply because they were demonized by the larger media. But it's like they were missing the point. And only now that video games have started to, over the past 10 or 15 years, gain some traction as being like legitimate art forms or important media artifacts or whatever, are they given a fair shake in terms of them actually trying to make satirical statements? Whereas in the past, it was just like, well, this is just terrible, torture porn or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, my point with it is that I find it weird because in essence, GTA has always had this particular, cutthroat style of, F you America to it. It's just
Hmm.
had it from the time they ever even the first two games had that in a little bit. They didn't have a lot of audio stuff, but the third one in particular, the one that elevated, made the series super popular, just had that in spades. Just listen to the radio
I was
and the
just gonna say it was all
commercials.
about the talk radio station in the third game, yeah. But yeah, certainly the pundits on Fox missed that stuff. So
Yeah, well, that's just because gaming's the new kid on the block.
exactly. But like I said, I think it is finally gaining traction as a legitimate art form, or whatever. Even if you don't want to call it an art form, it's certainly gaining legitimacy within the larger culture. And give it enough time, the people that poo-poo it will die, and the younger generation will be the older generation, and it'll just be an accepted thing.
Yeah, and then there'll be something else.
It, yeah, exactly. It's like rock and roll before it, or novels before that, or theater before that, or every new medium
The
has.
jitterbug was supposed to destroy society at one point.
Yeah, and this was before grinding or whatever, before twerking. I guess that's the word of the year.
Yeah. Brilliant marketing stunt. It worked.
Yep.
I didn't even watch the stupid thing. And I know about the Wrecking Ball song and I know about Miley Cyrus and it's like thanks internet, you've been played for fools.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's been so sort of propagated throughout the internet and whatnot that you can be aware of it sort of through osmosis. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Uh,
this was about an hour, so I thought.
yeah. So that concludes our sort of our favorites for the year. Did you want to talk about sort of like what we're looking forward to next year, real quick, or something?
I'm I don't know what to look forward to actually.
Yeah,
Sad
I
to
don't
the
really know
truth.
either. I know this offhand. I am seriously considering getting a PS4 soon. So, uh, in terms, if I do get one, I'm looking forward very much to The Witness, and possibly, since I've waited this long for playing Tomb Raider, holding out for the definitive edition, which they're releasing next year for PS4.
They should just call it the PC version. Graphic
Yeah,
upgrades.
I was gonna say that's my understanding. Is it's just sort of made to have all the visual flair of the PC version? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, they had
Yeah.
a bunch. They had like a bunch of bells and whistles on the PC version, which you could turn on and off. Oh yeah. I guess Metal Gear Solid 5.
Sure. Yeah. That's like March or something like that. I think it's scheduled for.
Well, Ground Zeroes. There is a big question: is if the actual main game's coming out next year. That's
Mm.
another story altogether.
I've not been following it. Ground Zeroes is a different thing from Metal Gear Solid 5 proper, because as far as I understand, it's actually titled Metal Gear Solid 5 : Ground Zeroes. So what's the
Yeah,
story
there's Ground Zeroes and then there's the Phantom Pain, and basically Big Boss goes into a coma and wakes up 9 years later, and that's when Phantom Pain happens.
Okay. So are they two separate games? I don't understand.
I guess it would be like one's the you know Metal Gear 2, how there was the shell and then there was the tanker.
Sure.
Yeah, well, basically, Ground Zeroes is the tanker. I think it's their way of releasing some Metal Gear related stuff to like keep people somewhat happy while they go and work on the main game.
Strange. It's almost like a Gran Turismo approach where they put out the little like nerfed version that doesn't have all the cars and stuff while they work on the full version.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I haven't been following it real close simply because I'm so behind on that series. I never finished the third game, didn't even play the fourth one. I have them, just got to get around to them. But yeah, I should probably try and get caught up by then if I can. There's a lot in my backlog, as there always is. So
well, it's a prequel, so you don't have to have played. Well, you might want to have played through 3, but
well, yeah, that's probably true. But I guess it's important to me to try and do them in order if I can. But it's like, at some point, I just got to cut my losses and say, forget it, I'm never going to get around to them, so I just got to pick it up wherever it's happening currently.
Yeah, I'm hoping with them releasing Rising on PC that they'll eventually just do the whole Metal Gear series.
On PC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm just at the point where I just want everything to come out on PC, and that way we wouldn't have to get consoles.
It may happen. We'll see what happens exactly in the future, but that would be nice, yeah.
Alright, well, I'm done if you are.
Yeah, so this has been the Bowser Press Co-op Podcast. Once again, you can find us on Tumblr, bowserpress.tumblr.com, and you can find us on Twitter at BowserPressed, BowserPressed, on YouTube, on Facebook. And yeah, check out previous episodes on YouTube. And you can find all the show notes and everything on the Tumblr page with the post for the current episode. So thanks for listening, and catch us next time. I have been Matt, and continue to be Matt.
I am Isaac, and I will continue to be Isaac until I become Matt.
Hopefully we'll all become Matt eventually.
The Matts will take over the world.
Yes. All right, thanks for listening. Take care.
Happy
Bye-bye.
New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.